Hi there. Welcome to my channel on this beautiful corner of the internet. The beginning stages of a spiritual awakening can be confusing. So I put together this video of 5 signs that you may be feeling when you are starting to spiritually awaken, and just tips and advice from my own personal journey to help you in the beginning stages of your spiritual awakening. So the first spiritual awakening sign that you may be feeling is what I like to call the questioning the existence of life, phase, and just everything in existence. Now, this phase and this sign, it's going to feel like this longing and seeking for something on a soul level, for you to feel like you are finding your personal fulfillment. You are finding your light within, and you are also finding more of a meaning in life. You're going to maybe be asking these types of questions like, why am I here? What is the meaning of life? What's my life purpose? Is this really all that there is to life and living and being here? And there's going to be this phase where you're going to be in this deep seeking of this knowledge or this wisdom, but it's not going to be something so much mental intelligence information as much as it's deep soul information and truths that unlock within you your own light. Now, yes, of course, knowledge, wisdoms, books, they are so great when you are in the beginning stages of your spiritual seeking, but my advice is to also allow yourself to experience the information that you are seeking and learning and reading about, because it is through becoming this information and also experiencing it in your own life that then it goes from knowledge to experiential wisdom, and you will begin to filter out and learn what information actually is your truth, because there is so much information that we could be seeking at this time in this phase in our spiritual journey. And so my advice is to allow yourself to seek in ways that feels like the information that you are reading and receiving is unlocking something within you that was already there, but you've just had a lot of layers over it, and you have that epiphany moment when you hear it. That is how you will be able to recognize information that sits with a soul truth versus information that does not really fully sit with you in your own personal truth, and that's okay. This questioning of your existence of life might come through a life-changing experience. It could be an accident, it could be a near-death experience, it could be something with your personal development where you just decide that it's time for you to be a better version of yourself. A very common life-changing event could be the loss of a loved one. That is when I find that many people have that moment where they just ask themselves, is this person really gone? Where did they go? Is this all that there is to life? And they also may start to have versions of spiritual awakenings because they lost a loved one, and they're receiving signs or evidence that there is more to this physical world than what meets our eye all of the time. So just be open to what your awakening moment was. What was your activator, catalyst moment to your spiritual awakening? Because that also sometimes holds keys and answers to why we started on a spiritual awakening journey in the first place. Spiritual awakening sign number 2 is feeling loss of identity and shift in who you are. There's going to be a lot of moments where within your seeking journey of intake of information that feels like your soul truth, what happens is that facilitates a shedding process of all of the themes, the beliefs, the identities, the emotions that you've been carrying and you've been holding for so long that you actually realize were never you all along. They were adaptations or things that you created as survival mechanisms, or you've been carrying for for so long, and this process of shedding and release can be painful because there's parts of your identity to all of these processes, and this can also lead to a lot of feeling of confusion. You may start to kind of feel confused about who you truly are now that you are in this process of removal, and allowing yourself to also sit with the fact that who you are is really beneath all of these layers that you're shedding. Who you are is not an evolution that you are seeking outside of you. It's always been within you. And my advice to share at this time is to hang in there, because the shedding process of identity loss that comes through in the very early beginning stages of your spiritual journey is always the most intense. Because if you think about it, it is the first time in the lifetime that you're living that you are most likely diving the most deep into yourself and who you are on a soul level, and learning the existence of life and who you truly are. So depending on when you start this journey, there's a lot of stuff that is not truly you, that has to be worked through and understood and have awareness of, and have that come up in order for you to then allow yourself to find that soul truth of who you truly are, of your identity, of who you are inside yourself. You've always been you, but what has happened is that there's so many layers of just what was never you got started to pile on, and that is what this process is. Being on a conscious spiritual journey, we are always going to go through evolutions of identity shifts and changes, but it's just that the beginning stages of your spiritual journey are definitely going to feel the most turbulent. There is going to be a part in your journey where you start to stabilize and balance a bit more so that it's not so turbulent, these shifts, these changes, and this deep shedding. And when you do move through these shifts and these changes, they're still going to be life-changing, but it's not going to feel as frequent and chaotic, and like it's not fully grounded in with who you are. You're going to feel like you have a bit more of a base foundational identity, which then you can cultivate and evolve from. And also, I invite you to please make sure that you're honoring your old identities, because all of those old identities were you and still hold key components of you. And we never want to dishonor any parts of ourselves. And allowing yourself to honor all the parts of your process is what will really allow it to unfold the smoothest and most efficiently that it can. Spiritual awakening sign number 3 is that you may start to see a shift in your friends and your family dynamics. Now, the reason that this happens is because with stage number 2, with all of the shifting that you're doing on an identity level, the identities that you used to be when you were in relationships with certain people, your new identity, your new self might not fully align, and vice versa with the other person. And this can be really painful, and I want to acknowledge that. It's unfortunately a natural byproduct that does and can happen when you're starting to spiritually awaken. And other times, you may go through your own assessments where you're looking at old environments or people in your life, and you realize that those environments or those people are not healthy for you anymore. And it is okay to honor that and to step away from these places that don't serve the new identity or the new version of you that you are uncovering inside yourself. You want to really make sure that the environments and the people in your life, as you are moving through these really delicate, tender moments in your journey, are truly aligned for you as well at these times. Sometimes you just can't grow in the same environments that you used to. And it's also okay. It's okay to honor all the feelings in that and to find the peace in all of that, the best ways that you can and the highest ways that you can. You also may start to feel like your shift in friendships and relationships with certain people in your life, it's like not even of your doing sometimes. It's just something that naturally begins to happen. And the reason for that is because it's something that is happening on an energetic level between your soul contract and someone else's soul contract. And sometimes our soul contracts with people just don't align at certain parts in our journey. And that's not to say that they maybe won't realign again in the future, but being able to look at all of these elements from all different sides of the coin is the best way to get a well-rounded, balanced approach to also allow yourself to move in your spiritual awakening with the most ease and awareness that you can do. Spiritual awakening sign number 4 is what I call the spiritual incubation period. Now, what you might be feeling at this time is because you're also noticing this shift in your relationship dynamics with people and places and environments that you used to be in, is that you will find yourself in almost like this spiritual cocoon where you almost feel isolated. You feel like you're being taken out of the environments that you used to know, and you find yourself maybe being alone more often than not. And the reason for this is that Spirit is moving you into a zone so that you can better nurture your inner process, so that then when you reemerge out of this process, you are able to align with the right people, environment, places that actually suit who you are and covering that you truly are. The best thing that you could do is allow yourself to just be in this space and figure it all out and go with the flow. Allow yourself to move through these early stages of your spiritual awakening journey in this spiritual cocoon that does kind of seem to just kind of happen on its own. I look back and I'm really able to see how that was a treasure for me, to treasure my alone time and just be and figure everything out and just be in my process. And if this is something that is happening seemingly to you, trying to reframe it to look at it so that it feels like it's something that is aiding you and for you in this moment, even if it may not seem like that is the case at the time. And spiritual awakening sign number 5 is dark night of the soul. Now, what this feels like, my translation of dark night of the soul, is it's like being in this dark tunnel that you feel like is never ending, and you can't see the other side of it. You don't even see that there's a light at the end. You have no clue who you're becoming. You just feel all these layers and sheddings of who you used to be just shedding off of you, falling off of you, and it could feel like a very dark time. And also it's because there is so much that you used to have attachment to or identification with that just no longer stands. And this is a really tough phase and sign to feel in the early stages of a spiritual awakening journey. My heart is with you if you are feeling this way. My advice of what has helped me was cultivating my belief and my trust in the Creator and the universe, in Spirit. And you can also choose yourself what you personally identify with as the source and the Creator. And I also established a very firm relationship with my spirit team. I allowed myself to cultivate a daily prayer and intention setting to all of these beings of light that I felt, and also the Creator that I felt could help pull me through. And I invite you to allow yourself to spiritually expand in ways as well to your own self-identification with the Creator, with God, the universe, spirit, and also your own spirit team. And on a human level of advice, when you're in this stage of your journey, it is so powerful to seek out and align with a spiritual guide, spiritual mentor, spiritual teacher, or all of the above. People who are already a bit more established in their experiences of their spiritual journey and their spiritual practices that can show up for you as a guiding light more personally. What I did that you may also like to do is whenever I was seeking to align with a teacher, a guide, a mentor, or a healer, I wrote a letter to the universe to please align me with the person that can help me with XYZ in my journey. And I would allow the thread of events in my life to then align me to people that I had soul connections with that could fulfill those helpful archetypes and roles for me to help guide me in specific parts of my journey that I specifically needed at that time. And if you do this, allowing your prayer and your intentions to align for you in ways that can feel really synchronistic and serendipitous. So that is my advice for aligning with a human version of someone who could be the right guide for you, because it is so important to align with those who are meant to also align with you. Also, just a small disclaimer is really important. Sometimes dark night of the soul can overlap with clinical depression symptoms. So if you are someone who has a history of clinical depression, or you start to notice symptoms coming up that overlap with depression, please do allow yourself to seek help from a licensed mental health therapist that can help aid you with your mental health while you're also evolving in your spiritual awakening journey. Mental health and spiritual health and our physical health all go hand in hand. Mind, body, and spirit, they are not separate. So please appropriately allow yourself to not disregard any mental health circumstances just because you're on a spiritual awakening path. We really want to make sure that we are acknowledging all ends of a healthy, well balanced system of being a human and a soul individual. So those were all 5 signs and phases that you may be experiencing in the early stages of your spiritual awakening journey. If you have found this video helpful for you, please leave a like on this video as a ways to let me know. And if you feel open to sharing anything in the comments, I love connecting with everyone and I would really love to hear from you and connect with you. This video is the 3rd video in my Spiritual Beginners series. So if you are feeling aligned to continue to walk this spiritual path together, I would be so honored if you would like to subscribe to this channel so that we can continue together here in this space. Thank you so much for tuning in with me and trusting me as a guide in your journey, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.